Enter the mind of your favorite artists, DJs and producers and find out how their mindset made them who they are today. Music and Mindset with Suniel Makh.
Today's guest, we have a true pioneer, a trailblazer, and someone who's broken down barriers and now crossed borders. Her fans are like a who's who's list of celebrities, A-listers from the film and music industry, and when DJ Jazzy Jeff calls you the best female DJ he's seen in his life, you know you're doing something right. She's been DJing from the tender age of 12 years old, the first female to win the prestigious Vestax Juice DJ competition, radio presenter, producer. The list of accomplishment just goes on and on. Croydon's own, but now in New York, it's the one and only DJ Kayper. How's things across the pond?
Nothing's changed that much in the last 3 months, but it's all right. Things are starting to open up again where I am in New York, so it's going to be a different New York for a while. It won't be as crazy as it is. I've noticed that they've started making outdoor seating for all the restaurants and stuff, which is kind of cool.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's such a weird world. It's such a strange time in the history of the world to be going through this right now and having to adjust to something that feels so unnatural.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised how I've coped with it, to be honest. I thought I would have lost my mind, but I'm actually doing all right.
It's really tough, isn't it? Because when you think when this first lockdown was happening, especially for me here, it was like you don't know what to expect and you don't know what's going to happen next and how to cope with it. It's really hitting people hard, though. How have you found it? I know you just kind of mentioned that you're dealing with it well, but what has been the biggest challenge for you through this period? I
think the biggest challenge is for me not feeling like I'm doing enough. So making myself feel like I'm doing enough every day is a challenge. It's a challenge because I'm like, all right, what do I do next?
Yeah.
What do I do next? I don't have to travel anywhere. I don't, but apart from that, it's I've kind of in a weird way been enjoying it because it's a different way of working for me.
Yeah.
And, I'm still working. I'm still doing the things that I need to do. I'm just doing it at home, which is kind of cool in a way because I don't think I've ever done that before in my life. So, yeah, it's cool.
Right. New opportunities. I think what a lot of the people I'm talking to are finding is that, they wouldn't have chosen this from the outset, but it's kind of not what you've got. It's what you do with what you've got. And that's a real big thing that's happening right now is, yes, a lot of stuff's been taken away from us in terms of where we can go, but we can still make the most of the resources that we've got.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I found out. I always, in the beginning, the first week, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? My career's over. I've worked so hard, but I kind of made whatever I could out of it. And it actually turned out not too bad, I'm still DJing. I'm still, I don't know, just I'm more creative now, I think, because I've got more time to think about being creative instead of having to worry about getting on a flight and, just stuff like that, really. It's an interesting time.
It definitely is. A lot of people are getting back into things that they haven't done for such a long time or have forgotten about, or, there's this thing that we always say, if we had time, we'd do these certain things. And now we've got time. It's a real opportunity for us to make the most of that. Yeah.
And also what I've learned is a lot of times, when, before COVID, I was constantly worried about, if I wasn't producing music one week, or if I wasn't doing, if I wasn't putting a set together or whatever, I've learned that, if I take a week off, it's fine. And I've learned to deal with that in the last 3 months. Because in the beginning, I was just going hard, every single day, no, I've got to get this done. And then I just figured it out, no one's going anywhere, nothing else is happening, so it's fine, kind of thing. It's fine to not do anything sometimes. which is something that I never would have known unless this had happened.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think when you're in the middle of trying to create something or do something, you forget that time off is such an important thing. And, we've been forced into time off a lot of the time with this particular time, with what's going on. One thing I'm always interested in is, eventually we're going to come out of this COVID situation and things will go back to, the new normal or whatever happens next. Eventually we'll kind of get to a position where we can start to do things again. What I'm interested in is like, what are the lessons that we need to remember going forward? Because there is a lesson in all of this. What do you think that are the things that you want to not forget when we come out of COVID and like have this influence you in a good way for the future?
Well, I mean, just like what we were talking about is just to take my time. And, a lot of my anxiety that I had before was because I was constantly like, I have to do this, I have to do that. And, taking flights meant that every week meant that I had to be up at a certain time. And sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh no, did I miss my flight? And even after traveling all the time, I still have that thing, But my thing is, I think when we come out of this, I've got to remember to take time for myself, because it's been the best thing for me in terms of creativity, just like personal issues or whatever. That's been the key, is to take some time to just think for a little bit, just have time for yourself, But I was thinking about this the other day, and whatever I was doing before, I'm not sure if I would completely do it the same way. I remember last time when we were talking, I was saying that I'm getting to be the DJ that I wanted to be, or the producer that I wanted to be now, because I don't have, I'm doing this for myself, and I'm doing it for what I want to be and what I want to be known as. So yeah, I don't know if I can go back to doing, club after club for money and not really enjoying, not fully. I mean, I enjoy it, but I don't enjoy it as much as playing all the music that I love to play, which I've been doing at home in my live streams and recorded sets or whatever. So yeah, that's my biggest fear and obstacle for the next phase, is like, what am I going to do? Before it was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to earn money? And now I'm like, how do I go back to what I was doing before? So it's a weird time.
it really is. And I think like it's going to be interesting. That's such a great point, because it's going to be interesting of how people do come out of this and what their new priorities are, because we've been forced to slow down and we've been forced to do things differently. And, like I say, some people have taken up new old hobbies that they've forgotten about, or just found passion in what they do again. And this has been such a good period for us in some ways to just kind of take stock of where we are, of what's really important to us, because we get seduced by all this stuff around us that, we've got all this going on. But when we don't have that anymore, it makes us realize, okay, actually, this is really important to me. What I thought mattered doesn't really matter. What really matters is how good I feel about the situation that I'm in.
Yeah. What's crazy is, what was it, today? I was having a conversation with one of my friends in the building who wants to go to, where does he want to go? Maine, somewhere in Portland, right? It's like beautiful place, scenery, hiking and stuff like that. But, he was saying, because we've been quarantining together, my husband and my two friends, he's been saying like, oh, let's go away together for like 10 days. And then we'll go from there to the Hamptons and blah, blah, blah. Like, what else you got to do? And I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere. Such a weird thing. It's like, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to be at home. I don't think that I will ever get a chance. I mean, depending on what happens after this whole thing is ended, I don't think I've ever gotten a chance to be at home for this long, and I like it. So even when someone is like, oh, let's go away together on holiday, I'm like, I don't need to, because I do that I was always traveling, and now this is the one time where I get to be in such an amazing city, even though it's not functioning the way that it should be right now, or what is known of New York. I get to be here like when hardly anyone's here, and I get to experience New York in a different way. And I just don't want to travel. That was one of the things that was bothering me so much. Like when I was doing it so much, is I just wanted to go home all the time. I'd be in a hotel and I'd be like just thinking about my dog, or like, you know, what I'm going to do when I get home, you know? So yeah, it's a weird thing to think about.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's a real beauty in being still sometimes. I mean, you know, meditation is one of those things where people are taking it up a lot more over COVID as well, but that being present and being still where you are and being okay with that, it's like we don't always need to be busy to feel useful or to feel like we're successful. Sometimes there's so much power in being still and not doing anything.
I know, and I've noticed so many people that I've been talking to have been like, oh, so where are you going to go for the summer? Where are you going to quarantine for the summer? And it's like everyone's trying to get away, and I'm like, no, I don't want to go anywhere. And I think that's just how people are, right? Like, but okay, so it's different. If you're working from home, like if you haven't, you know, a regular job, and I know some of my friends have been working from home and they're just fed up of working all the time from home, from their desks. So they were trying to get away. But for me, it's the opposite. It's like, this is my holiday.
Right.
I don't need to go anywhere to do that.
I mean, you're exactly that. Your regular life is a lot of traveling, a lot of movement, a lot of being in different places. And, you know, for people who see the glamorous side, if you like, you know, the events and the celebrities and all the people and the places that you go, it's easy to forget sometimes that doesn't come like for free, if you like. It's not all enjoyable. There must be those times where you're like, this is a real slog to get kind of through the next bit.
Yeah, it's like if you follow me on Instagram, you're like, hi, you know, cheesy smile and whatever. And I'd be like, oh my God, I'm in this place or blah, blah, blah. But yeah, okay, I'm doing those things. But I also probably got changed in the toilet, like at an airport before going to the gig, or like, do you know what I mean? People don't see those parts.
Yeah.
Or, you know, getting up and just being like so tired that you're like, oh, should I change my flight? I wish I could do this gig another day, or like, you know, or being hungover because you're around people that just, you know, they want to party. So they're like, oh, should we drink? And they're giving you more and more while you're DJing. And then next thing you know, you're just like, feel like crap. And, you know, people see the good things, but never hear about, you know, those things. And it's one of the reasons why I enjoy being at home, because I can actually be in control for once.
Social media is a great tool when we use it, but when it uses us, it can be really destructive. And a lot of people are constantly comparing their lives against other people, you know, either their friends or their family members or celebrities. And it makes they look at other people's profiles and it makes them feel bad. But the thing with social is generally people post their best moments on social. Like you say, they don't post the moments where they're tired or they're hungover or they've just literally had to, you know, travel for 10 hours to get to somewhere and straight on set. It can be such a great thing, but I find it's pretty dangerous as well, because a lot of people's self-esteem is caught up in how they compare themselves against other people.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people don't want to expose their weakness, right? So you always want to like keep an image of, oh, look at me, you know, for social media, but no one's actually really telling the truth.
Right.
So, I mean, that's why I try to be as honest as I can I have to post, obviously, you know how it works. You have to post certain pictures and whatever, but, you know, I would like to think that I'm as honest as I can be, especially on my stories. I always seem to say some crazy things, which people are like, oh, I didn't know that, you know, whatever.
It's a tough one. I mean, like I say, social media can be great. It can also make people feel really bad. And I think that, you know, if you're on social and it's constantly making you feel bad, then just take a break from that and just remember that, you know, the value of your life isn't what it is compared to someone else's. It's how you feel about it. And if you're enjoying it.
I mean, I did that. I've even done that quite recently, like even through COVID, just starting to get feeling that little bit of anxiety again because other people are doing more streams than I am, or someone's doing a stream for this brand. I'm like, well, how come I'm not doing it? And it's that feeling is coming back again, you know? So what I've learned to do is just not look at my phone. And I just, I just put it somewhere and go and play with my dog or something.
For all the skills, like in my job, for all the skills you can teach someone about, okay, this is how you can train your brain to feel differently, or these are kind of some of the things you can do. One of the most important things to do is protect your energy and protect what you're exposing yourself to. If something makes you feel bad constantly and raises those feelings of fear or anxiety, yes, you want to ultimately feel different about that. But the first step is take a break and don't indulge in those kind of things that make you feel bad.
Yeah, definitely. And what I've found is sometimes when I do feel a certain type of way, just talk, because I could probably count my friends on one hand, right? And that's through years of, you know, figuring out what kind of people I want around me. And, you know, one of those things is like just having people to talk to that are going to be positive or even critical at times, but with a solution. Like if you're going to criticize me, or if you're going to say, hey, man, I didn't like the way you did that, but this is what I think you should do, or this is how I think that, you know, you'll look better if you do this way or whatever, you know. Just having those people around me helps so much, because as especially in music and entertainment, you're always going to have a lot of like yes men around you, and sometimes a lot of like haters, you know. Right. So
for sure,
you have to know how to navigate your way through all those kind of people.
And that's something that I definitely want to talk to you more about, because who you hang around with and the kind of people that you surround yourself with have such a huge impact on who you are as a person, how you think, what you're focused on. And that can really make and break you no matter where you are in life, what you're doing in life. The people that you're constantly around can really shape your destiny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
I want to kind of roll through your career a little bit, and just pick out some key moments, because I think there's some really interesting parts in there, and there's so much to talk to you about, because you're having such an amazing career. I want to kind of go back to the beginning a little bit with it. And you started DJing when you were 12 years old. Back then, when you started DJing, I remember I was reading an interview and it was talking about how you told your parents that you wanted to be a DJ back then, and they weren't too impressed by that career choice at that point. Did that kind of make you doubt whether you wanted to do it, or did that give you the strength to say, no, I really want to do this?
I come from a household where I was constantly being told no, like, or being made to feel bad because of something that I was doing was clearly positive, but they didn't understand it or see it in that way. So I was constantly being told, no, you should not be a DJ. You cannot be a DJ because you're a girl and girls just don't do that. And just, you know, a constant like criticizing me and basically telling me that I should just be normal. Like I should be like everyone else. And if I was like everyone else, then that's fine with them. Do you know what I mean? And it just didn't sit right with me, like even from such a young age. So yeah, I did the opposite of what I was like, well, I like this. And even though you're trying to make me feel bad about doing it, I still know what's right and what's wrong. Do you know what I mean? And I had people around me that were doing bad things. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing that. So, you know, what's wrong with what I'm doing? So I just didn't let it affect me too much. And I just continued to do what I wanted to do.
At 12 years old, that's a really brave decision to make.
I think I was just a bit of a rebel anyway, just with my parents. So I didn't know what I was doing when I was doing it. I didn't know that I don't know, how do I describe this? I knew that, hold on, let me think about this. Is it a brave decision, or is it just something that I did without even knowing that I was being brave? I think that's the thing. I didn't realize I was being brave. I was just like going against what they were saying. Now when I think back now, yeah, maybe, yeah, it was brave for a 12-year-old to be like, no, I'm going to be a DJ. I don't care what you say. I'm not going to be a doctor. Yeah, I guess it was brave. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just didn't realize it then.
I think sometimes in the middle of decisions, you don't realize how much mental strength it takes to make that decision until you look back later on in life. But to say that at 12 years old, there's people who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s that if someone says to them, don't do something, they're not going to do it because they're influenced by someone else's opinion or, the pressure that other people have for them. And what I've, in this series so far, a lot of the musicians or DJs that I've spoke to have sort of said, yeah, a lot of people said, why are you getting into that for? But the one thing that kind of saw them through was the passion and the love for what they have. And that is the thing that was like, well, I love this too much to give it up. Yeah.
So yeah, that was the other thing is, yes, I was rebelling, but then also I wouldn't have done that if I didn't love what I was doing as much as I did. Like, if, I was coming home from school and the first thing that I would do was turn the decks on before I'd even eaten or, do you know what I mean? Like, had anything to drink or put the TV on or whatever. That's when I knew, like, okay, I really, really do love doing this. And that's why I just never had any interest in listening to anyone else's opinions about what I was doing. So
that is always the key. I think that behind any successful person, people will always tell them they can't do it, but it's the people who, number one, it's not that they don't care about other people's opinions. It's that what they do means so much to them, that it's the dedication and the commitment to the craft.
Yeah. And I guess with DJing and the style of DJing that I do, you have to be dedicated. Like, there was no other way that I could be as good as the people that my heroes or the people that I was watching on TV or whatever. Like, there was no other way. So I just had this determination, like, okay, I have to be better, like, constantly. So yeah, nothing could really make me think any different.
You weren't always International Superstar DJ Kayper. There was a time when you were coming up the ranks and, paying your dues in the industry. When you were doing that, how did you deal with those days, which I'm sure you had, where it's like, I don't feel like I'm making it. I don't feel like I'm making it as fast as I want to make it. Those days where you just feel like I'm putting all this time and effort in and I'm not really seeing the results that I'm looking for. How did you keep going through those periods?
I mean, I still go through those periods. Like, I still go through that. The way that I've learned to deal with it is, a lot of times when I feel that way, I write things down and I'll come up with a list of like, right, what is it that's bothering me? What do I need to do to get there? I'm almost like, think of it like a puzzle. Like, okay, well, last year I didn't get to do this, and I really wanted to do it. So this year I'm going to make an effort to, one, speak to the people that I work with and tell them that this is how I feel and I want you to help me get there. And then we brainstorm and think of ways to do it. That's the only way that I have been able to overcome that. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Just make a list and have like goals. Right. And I think that's helped me a lot because before, when I wasn't doing that, I was just like kind of lost and just like, oh my God. And then that's what makes you work harder, but you're working harder, you're not working smarter. So I learned to work smarter by analyzing the things that are bothering me and figuring out solutions and how to get to where I want to get to, rather than just keeping it internal and just being crazy.
So it's solution orientated problem solving, like you say, is seeing it like a puzzle. You know, a lot of times people get to the point where they have a problem in their life and they just really focus on the problem in terms of what the problem is, and ask themselves questions like, well, why is it like this? And what if this happens? And they ask themselves questions that they can't really answer. You know, the difference with you, what I'm hearing is that you don't ask yourself questions you can't answer. You ask yourself questions you can answer. So like, what am I going to do about this, rather than why is this happening to me?
Well, yeah, because if you sit there and you feel sorry for yourself and think, well, why this and why that, then you're not really, nothing is going to happen. You're not going to get past that point. And that's why I always think of like the end goal. Like if you look at a timeline and this is like the end goal. And like, I think of mentally in my head, I think of all the things that I need to do to get there. And that's the way that I think, you know, for a lot of my life, I've done that, and I've been quite successful, and sometimes not successful. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I don't get what I want, but I have more chance of getting what I want if I think of a solution. You know, whether it's with someone, whether it's with my manager or my husband, or, you know, like whatever. I've got more chance of getting what I want if I talk about it and think of ways to get there.
Definitely. And it's really interesting. I think it's such a huge point here is that, like you say, sometimes your solutions that you think of, they don't necessarily always work. You have to adjust your solutions as you go forward. I think a lot of people see success as like a straight line. Like they have this idea, they're going to do this, and it's just going to go smooth sailing to that point. And when it doesn't go smooth sailing, they get disappointed and they disengage from the process because they think, oh, it's not working. But success isn't, I mean, I'm sure your whole career is full of moments where it hasn't gone the way that you thought it would. But if you keep at it, you find a new solution out of the solutions that don't work.
Yeah, basically. That's basically what I've been doing my whole life. Is, just going back to the drawing board when it doesn't work the way that I think or thought it was going to work.
And I guess taking the lessons from the things that don't work and help you come up with a better solution next time, rather than sort of like you say, rather than crying over the things that don't work, it's kind of like picking through those pieces and saying, actually, this didn't work, but if I try this next time, maybe I'll get closer to a solution that does work.
Exactly. And like what we were talking about last time when we were chatting is sometimes if you have a goal and you don't have a way, like if you think to yourself, like remember what we was talking about when I think it was you were asking me about when I was a promoter or something.
Yeah.
And I told you the reason why I became a promoter is because I wanted to be noticed. My end goal was I wanted to be noticed by certain people, and I wanted them to see me DJ. And my solution to getting there was, well, why don't I just become a promoter and book them to DJ, and then they will see me, and then I can create a relationship with them. And then, you know, just that's the way that I've kind of approached a lot of things in my life.
That part of that conversation that we had for me was really fascinating, because you are the kind of person that if it's not happening, you're going to make it happen. You're not going to wait for someone to kind of turn up at your door with an opportunity. It's like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do to get there. And if it works, great. But if it doesn't, I'm going to do something different that gets me closer. But there's one thing about you that I learned is you're not going to stand still and just wait for opportunity to turn up.
No, you can't. You can't, because you can't expect anyone to help you but yourself, right? Like, people always think they need a cosign or like they need someone to big them up so that blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I learned a very long time ago, no one's going to do anything for me unless I do it for myself. So, you know, the same way I think we talked about it, just like the simple things. In the last interview, we talked about it, where just the simple things of like flyering for my gigs, I would go out and do it myself, because I didn't trust anyone to, I didn't know whether they were just going to chuck the flyers in the bin and say that they flyered for me. So I was like, the only person that is going to make sure that people are going to know about this gig or going to come to my gig, and for me to be sure about it, is to do it myself.
Right.
So yeah, that's another thing that I've applied to different situations in my life. Just do it yourself.
If you want it done properly, do it yourself. It's such a cliche, but sometimes it's really true.
It's the truth. It is the truth. No one's going to be able to do what you want other than you. Like if I have an idea for, sometimes like, I might have an idea for artwork or something like that. I started, I was good at art at school. So I started just doing it myself. It was like every single time I tried to explain to someone, like, no, I want it this way, I want to do this, that, you'd be going back and forth. I'm like, well, I know how to do it myself. Why don't I just do it? Like, or I'll learn. There's plenty of videos on YouTube where I can learn Photoshop and Illustrator and whatever. I just do it myself.
That's such a great mindset to have. That is, you're going to take control over the things that you can control. It's not about hoping someone turns up or, like you say, getting a cosign for your success. It's about, okay, what can I do to impact my chances of being successful? So coming past the start of your career, and you're starting to you went to uni, and that was a big kind of period where you were DJing a little bit more in the clubs and everything around there. Moving forward, as you were getting more successful, did you start to have, like, in your mind where you wanted to go with this, or were you just kind of taking it as it comes?
I was coasting. I was just on the ride kind of thing. Yeah. I was like that when I was younger, but now I'm not like that. Maybe because I'm right. I don't know, because I'm older, and once you get older, you have to, have other responsibilities, and married, things like that. But before, it was like, it was just all about me. Yeah. And it was like, well, whatever's next is next. Right, let's go. Let's do it all the time. But now, it's a bit different now, I guess. I have other people to think about in my life, It's not just me. But before, I was definitely, whatever opportunity came my way, I took it, and I saw it as an opportunity, and I took it. And even if it made me feel uncomfortable, I still did it, and I grew from it, I guess. So, right. Yeah, like I remember you asked me about doing the BBC, doing the radio show on the BBC. And remember I told you my training was basically them putting me live on air. And that was terrifying for me, because I mean, I'm a shy person as it is, not so much now, but back then I definitely was. And I couldn't even imagine getting on a microphone. So that was me being taken out of my comfort zone for the first time. And being taken out of my comfort zone made me grow as a person. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you need something like that to happen, where I would, I've been quite honest about doing the BBC, like doing my show on the BBC. I wasn't always happy there, but I do think that it's something that benefited me in life, because, it took me out of my comfort zone and made me uncomfortable, and I learned how to deal with that, and I grew from it. So it's not all bad. It's
there's kind of hidden gifts in all of these uncomfortable moments that we face.
Yeah. And I think that that's just taking the good, taking the positive out of, thinking of the positives out of every situation, I think always helps.
So you mentioned there about, being thrown really into the deep end in terms of, here's a microphone, present a show, you're on. And you mentioned that you were more shy back then than you are today. how did you get past that shyness, or not necessarily get past it where it's completely gone, but how did you manage those feelings of shyness? How did you manage that uncomfortable feeling of having to do that kind of thing?
Just kept doing it. I have to mention that I know the things that I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And I knew that there was something inside me. I knew that I had a personality. I just couldn't get it out, kind of thing. So I don't think I ever really would have done the show had I thought to myself, you know what, you can't, like, there's no way you're going to be able. I just knew there was something inside me. Like, for example, I know I can't sing, and I would never try to be a singer. Like, I just know that that's something that I cannot do and will not do, right? And I know that sounds negative, but that is, I just do not, I know myself. No one knows you better than yourself, right? With radio, as much as I was like, oh no, this makes me feel uncomfortable, I knew that I had something inside me, and I had a personality inside me that I just needed to bring out. So I let it happen, kind of thing. I just let it happen.
Right.
And I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to do this unless I just let it happen. If I mess up, or if I sound like an idiot on radio, or, you know, whatever, just got to let it happen. But I know that eventually I will be good at this. So
I think a lot of people face similar conflicts no matter what they do for a living, or what they do that they enjoy, of that, the conflict of, I know I really like this and I know I could be good at this, and the other side of them saying, don't do it because everything could go wrong, run away, and the fear is going to take over. And I think that we all have that conflict within us at times, and I think it's prevalent in a lot of people a lot of the time, that constant back and forward going in their mind of, I want to do it, but I also don't, in case it doesn't go well. And I guess sometimes you just have to kind of drag yourself through those moments.
Yeah, but there's a fine line. Like what I was saying about me trying to sing, it may sound contradicting to what I'm saying, you know, in this interview, but there's a real fine line, I think, in terms of just, you know, being unconfident about something and actually knowing that you cannot do this. Like, I'm not going to go, I'm not going to go and, I don't know, start playing football right now, because one, I don't think that I'm going to be, I don't know. But then again, I don't know. Maybe I would be good. I don't know. But
that'd be quite the career change.
That would be, wouldn't it? I mean, Michael Jordan did it. Didn't he quit basketball to play baseball?
That's right,
season? And then but see, he really wanted to do that. He really, he grew up wanting to play baseball, and then he happened to just get into basketball and be the greatest of all time. But, you know, he still went on, and he was like, whatever, I'm quitting basketball and I'm going to do baseball. And everyone thought he was crazy, but he still did it. So
right now you might not want to be a football player or a singer, but because you know that there's other opportunities that you can make more that are more in line with your vision and your goal for who you are. I think if you really, really wanted to be a singer and you gave up everything and dedicated all your time to it, you could possibly do it. But it's all about what's the priority for you. And I think that people get stuck when they think about, there's all these things I want to do and I'm not good at them. One of the underlying foundation cornerstones of success is time, effort, and dedication. There's no replacement for that part of it.
Definitely not. I mean, even going back to me being a DJ, without time and dedication, how would I have got here? That's the first thing you need. You know, everything else will come, but if you don't give yourself time and if you don't dedicate your time to like being the best or the best you can be, then how are you going to do it? You know?
Right. And that's again something that people, you know, I'm going to go on this social media thing again, but this is general for people with success. People look at people that are successful, but they forget the amount of hard work that has had to go into that. and it's not all glamorous. And like you say, you know, seeing you now do what you do, that is a result of you having to go out and fly, you having to start your own nights to make it, you having to put the hours of dedication in, take opportunities that maybe you didn't really want to, but you knew that would help your career get further. The amount of sacrifice you've had to make to get to the point in your career where you're at right now, it just can't be forgotten, but it's easy to miss.
And, you know, you can't have everything in life. You're going to have to make sacrifices. And you have to know that doing something that takes so much time and dedication, you know that there's going to come a point where you have to sacrifice certain things. And if you're not okay with that, it's not going to go well.
What would you say are some of the kind of things that you had to sacrifice to get to where you wanted to get to?
Just family, friends, relationships with family, friends and stuff like that. You know, not being, you know, I got to a certain point where I wouldn't get invited to things because people would be like, well, she's busy.
Right.
And don't bother asking her, because I'd always have to say no. But, you know, had I been the person who'd be like, nah, actually, I am going to go and do that instead of this, then I wouldn't be here today. Do you know what I mean? I had to make certain sacrifices with family and friends to be where I am. And I'm still making sacrifices. You know, like I said, obviously I'm married, and the next stage of being married is probably having kids. And one of the reasons is like, well, how am I going to do that and be a DJ? Do you know what I mean? I don't know any females that DJ who have kids with them. You know, am I the blueprint? Like, what am I supposed to do here? So, you know, that's one of my biggest sacrifices, because had I been the person that my parents wanted to be, which is, you know, be normal, then you know, it would have been like a no-brainer, right? But right now, for me and my lifestyle, it's like, well, I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to give this up or put a pause on my career for this. So that's a big sacrifice, I think, for me.
Whichever way you slice it, there's going to be a sacrifice, isn't there? There's kind of the sacrifice of having, you know, you're either sacrificing your career a little bit for children, or sacrificing having children right now for your career. And that is a constant battle, isn't it? For everyone, the sacrifices, no matter what they do. Yeah.
And I still haven't figured it out yet. I still don't even know what I want. Like, that's the whole part of life, I guess, is to figure things out like that. Especially when I don't have anyone to look to as an example. There's no one, like, you know, unless like what? I mean, celebrities, like, that's not real. Like, they have nannies and they have all this money to take care of, just to have someone else take care of the kids, but I don't have that luxury. So I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, it's just something that I'm sacrificing at the moment and trying to figure out. So,
and I find it really interesting that, like you say, there is no example out there, because, again, bringing it back to, you know, people in general life, we often look for a blueprint or an example or a road that we can follow that's been done before, because it feels a little bit safer. But in sometimes to get to where we want to get to, there is no example, there is no blueprint. You have to kind of create your own path to get there. And you've done that multiple times in your career, but it's just really interesting to see that you're still doing that, both professionally and personally.
Yeah. I mean, still doing it.
I don't think it's ever going to stop, really. I don't think that there's a point in life where you get to.
I think that's with everybody, though. You know, like it doesn't matter what you do. You could work in Sainsbury's and, you know, it's just a part of being human, I guess. It's a part of life.
So in the introduction, I mentioned that you're a pioneer and a trailblazer, and really you're a pioneer for a lot of different people. You're a pioneer for women out there, for Asian people out there, and for many people who look at your career and take inspiration from that. And I want to kind of break those two parts up if you like, the being a woman bit and being an Asian person bit. Starting off with being a woman, I watched a YouTube video of you recently talking about an incident with Chris Brown where he called you a woman DJ, and that really didn't sit well with you. Being a female in this industry must have been really hard, especially when the stereotype is that it's a very male-orientated industry. What kind of obstacles did you face as a woman breaking in, and as your career has continued, what are some of the obstacles that you face?
Yeah, I think the biggest obstacle is just having people doubt you all the time. Mm-hmm. And it's not just men, it's women as well. It's like that.
Right.
I can't tell you the amount of times, like even now it happens that I'll be DJing or about to DJ, and like there'll be someone standing in front of me like confused, or like, what's going on here? This is weird.
Right.
And then, or someone just standing there going like, all right, let's see if she's good. You see those faces a lot. But honestly, it's like a blessing and a curse at the same time, because being doubted just made me want to work harder to prove them wrong.
Right.
So, if everyone was always, nice around me all the time, telling me how amazing I am, then maybe I would be like, well, I'm good enough, so that's fine. But, having those people stand in front of me, doubting me all the time, or, it's just having that energy around me made me want to be like, you know what, watch, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if I've completely overcome all of the challenges of being female in this business, but I know that I'm working on it every day. And, being my biggest annoyance even to this day is like being called a female DJ is just annoying in itself, which is the reason why I was annoyed with the Chris Brown thing, because he didn't mean it in a bad way, but it's my own insecurities of doing this for 20 however many years, and having those dudes standing in front of you going, meh, what's she gonna do? Then gives me a complex. So when someone like him comes in to a club and gets on the mic and is like, he was saying in a positive way, like, oh my God, it's a woman DJ. But the woman and DJ together just didn't sit right with me. So I said what I said in a tweet, and it kind of went viral somehow.
Right.
And and he even went on a Power 106 or something, and the person that was interviewing him, the girl said, oh yeah, I heard that you were in a club recently, and because Perez Hilton had blogged about it, and all these like celebrity blogs or whatever, and news channels had put it on their sites. So this girl was like, oh, why did she say that? And he was like, I don't know. I didn't even mean it in any kind of way, but blah, blah, blah. And so it wasn't his fault. It was me and my insecurities, and me just hating being put into this subcategory of female DJ. Like I'm not at the same level as, the next guy. Do you know what I mean? That irritates me, I think, the most, because I've done all these things, yet you're talking about them because you're an intelligent, nice person. But there's a lot of people who won't bother to go and do the research, and they'll just see me for what I am, a female DJ. And that irritates me, So yeah, I'm still, I don't think I've quite overcome the challenges yet, but I mean, I'm sure it'll get better one day, but that's why I just keep going, There's nothing else I can do.
It's such a relevant point because, the labels we get given, they can be really frustrating when we're trying to make a name for ourselves for who we are as an individual, not, what you can see on the surface. Like in this instance, it's not about if you're a male DJ or a female DJ. It's if you're a good DJ that should be the only thing that really matters. There is no gender difference. It's just there's skill differences without a doubt, but that's got nothing to do with gender. That's why I think that whole incident was really interesting, because it really shone a light for me on the fact that you just get painted with this brush in so many different walks of life, whether you're a certain race or a gender or, whatever you are in life or what your belief system is. It's like, oh, you're that type of person, therefore here's a glass ceiling and you can't really break it. But you've broken out of that. And the great thing to hear is that that criticism actually fed you to make you stronger, rather than in other cases for some people who have so much skill, so much talent, but that same criticism or that same barrier stops them from ever achieving what they want to achieve, because it takes mental strength to break through that.
Yeah, and it just goes back to like what we were talking about earlier. In my early days, and my parents telling me, no, you can't do this and no, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. I made it a point, like I said, every aspect of my life to be like, if someone tells me no, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to try and be the best that I can. And that's all I can do. If I continue doing what I'm doing, people see longevity, people will figure it out eventually. It's just a shame that because I'm a female or because I'm brown or whatever, people see that first. But there's nothing that you can, what am I going to do about it? There's nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
All I can do is do what I've been doing, which is talk about it and tell people this is the reason why it bothers me. And this is what we need to do to stop this happening.
Right.
But, it's just up to people if they listen.
It's a real tough one because, like I say, some people use the no in their life as fuel to get to where they want to go. It's funny you mentioned Michael Jordan earlier on in the conversation, because I watched the Last Dance documentary, and there was a part of it where it was like, if you wanted Michael Jordan to do something, just tell him he can't do it, because he'll go out of his way to prove you wrong. That's such a great mentality, but that's not that. I feel like that's rare. I feel like it's easier to say no to someone and them to be like, oh yeah, well, I won't do it then, rather than I'm going to take that no and switch it on its head.
You have to have a certain type of arrogance within you to be, I think.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad arrogance. It's like, there's two different types, right?
Definitely.
But you've got to have something within yourself, a certain type of arrogance to be like, you know what? No, if you want to tell me no, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it better than you thought I was going to do it.
Do you think that arrogance is something that you're born with, or do you think that it's something that you can create and you can learn?
I think it's something you're born with.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Could be wrong. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think that you are, I just know with the kind of personality that I have, that I was born with it, If I didn't have that confidence within myself, and I'm not saying I'm always confident, but I, had to have had some kind of confidence within me to continue. Had I not had that, I don't know if I would, if when my mum and dad said, no, you can't do it, or you can't do this, maybe I would have been like, okay, maybe I can't, but I have this kind of fire personality, like, I'm a Leo. So I have that kind of personality where if someone tells me no, I do it anyway.
I think it's true. I think some people find this really natural to have that side, like you say. Yeah, I think Leo's a fire sign, so it's almost like a personality trait within Leo to just have that drive and that desire to go after things. I think that for people who don't think that they have it, I think that, like you say, some people are born with it and it's like second nature. Like, you tell me no, I'm just going to do it. But for those people who are like, oh, maybe I can't do it, I feel like there is a way for those people, but you just have to maybe work a little bit harder at it, or expose yourself, or, look to people like you and think, if I did a little bit more of what Kayper's doing, just taking those no's and training myself to say, okay, no means I can still do it. It's like any skill football, sports, music. Some people have more talent than others, but there's some people who have to work triple the amount to get to unlock their own potential. But it's all about what you decide to do with your time, isn't it? It's how you decide to spend, who you hang around with, what messages you take in to try and get yourself to as far as you can.
I think that's why it's so important to know the people that are around you. You know, that's a part of what makes you. And if you have a load of people around you that are, discouraging you from doing something or laughing at you because you said that you wanted to do this, and they're like, that's funny, you can't do that, then maybe if you don't have that kind of fire inside you, that arrogance that I guess I have, then maybe you could be like, all right, no, that's silly, I won't do that. But it's important to have good people around you that are going to encourage you, and that's all it is.
I want to come to that point in a second about the people you hang around with, because I think that's one of the keys to anyone's success is who they're surrounded with. And success doesn't always necessarily mean, fame and riches. Success can be being an amazing mom or dad or brother or sister. Success lives and breathes in so many different forms. But just before we go into that, the whole piece about arrogance, I was having this conversation with someone else recently about, what is it that makes people have that fire? And we were talking about arrogance, and you mentioned there that there's kind of two types. It's kind of like the bad type of arrogance is where you think you're the shit without proving it, without just having paid any dues, just having that ignorance to think I'm better than anyone else. But the good type of arrogance is the belief that I can do this and I can get better. And I think that gets missed sometimes when people talk about arrogance, because arrogance has this thing about, you think you're better than everyone else. Whereas good arrogance is you don't think you're better than everyone else. You just think that you can do it. It's different.
I've met a lot of people who have that bad type of arrogance. And some of them, they haven't got very far, and some of them are household names. I don't know how to describe like what you should do to differentiate. I don't know. I'm just trying to think like all the people that I've met that are like that are even like famous and I don't know. I think I truly do believe that if you're, like you look at Kanye West, for example, would you say, is he arrogant or is he just confident and passionate about what he does? I don't know. I try to figure that out all the time. Like, what is he? But there's no denying that he's talented, right? There's no denying that he's talented. So is he a bad arrogant or is he a good arrogant? It's really hard to differentiate sometimes. And I think that's something to think about is like, what, I don't know, how I can be like Kanye West sometimes. I could be like, talking to my friends and stuff. I can go off in one like that. I can be that am I a bad person? I don't know. All I know is that I have to have that fire inside me to keep going. Right. And if I didn't have it, then I don't know what I'd be doing right now.
Whichever way it falls, it is a necessary part of success. Whether that falls into, what we're calling bad arrogance or good arrogance, some level of arrogance is necessary to be successful. Because, that arrogance for me, I always think of arrogance as in self-belief. And if you don't have self-belief, you're basically looking for your belief to come from other people. You're never going to make it with that in your mind. If you're waiting for someone else to tell you can be good before you're going to be good, then you'll never be good at anything. I
think the bad type of arrogance is when you're arrogant to put someone else down. I think that's the bad. Right. That's the difference, I think.
Yeah.
When you're arrogant, when someone's telling you no, you can't do this. Well, yes, I can. Like, that may be like confidence, arrogance. I don't know. It's a weird thing to think about. Yeah. But yeah, definitely, if you're an arrogant person that is arrogant for the pure fact of like putting someone else down, then that's the bad side.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's the same. It's kind of the same thing with when people talk about being selfish and, you know, like putting themselves first. It's like, there's nothing wrong with being selfish, putting yourself first, as long as you're not going out of your way to trample on someone by doing that and being purposely hurtful in your way of getting what you want. If you're doing something because it's really good for you and you genuinely have no desire to harm anyone else, then it's not going to be a bad thing. And it's kind of the same with arrogance, isn't it? It's like if you're going out your way to put someone down, that's a bad way of doing things generally. But if you're doing things in a way that's like, no, I just need to get myself to where I need to go, that's okay.
And usually, if arrogant people that are arrogant to put other people down are usually not the most confident. So
yeah,
it's like I have confidence in myself and this arrogance, which gives me the fire inside me to say, when someone says, well, you can't be a DJ because you're female and you're probably shit because you're female, or, you know, that's. These are things I've never thought about before, so that's why I'm like pausing and actually having a conversation with myself.
No, it's great. Yeah. I mean, we do these things, though, don't we? We're in the middle of our lives. We haven't got time to contemplate this stuff until we sit there and think, oh, you know, I actually appreciate my own arrogance, and getting your head around that to embrace it as well, because I think, you know, sometimes people feel so bad for who they are. Like I work with so many people, you won't believe how many times they feel bad for putting themselves first, or they feel bad for making certain sacrifices, and like they have this real guilt around it until you kind of talk it out with them, and then they get to the point of realizing it's not a bad thing because I haven't tried to hurt someone. It's necessary to do this and to embrace it to get where I need to get to.
Yeah, and it is, I mean, that's where balance comes into it, right? So
yeah,
you have to have balance in everything you do. So, you know, you have to do things for yourself in order to be a good person for other people, right? If you just constantly being this person, or, you know, this and that for other people, then eventually you're going to burn out and you're going to, you know, you're not doing what makes you happy. So
yeah,
it's balance. Or if you're that dude that is always doing things just for yourself, then you're seen as a, you know, you're seen as an idiot. So there's balance in both. You know, you can, if you approach everything with balance, I think that's the best way forward.
And you mentioned the people you surround yourself with and how important that is. And earlier in the conversation, you said that, you know, there's a lot of yes people around. There's also a lot of haters as well. But how do you deal with, let's start with the haters, because in such a public facing industry like music, and the more successful you get, you obviously get more fans and more people appreciating what you do. But with that comes a lot of people who are going to hate on you as well. How do you cope with those haters and what they've got to say?
I think just like we were talking about confidence, just finding confidence in myself, because if I'm not confident, then whatever someone says to me is, I'm going to internalize it, right? So over the years, I've had to figure out how to be confident as well as arrogant. I've had to figure out how to be confident and happy within myself in order to block all of that out, I think. Because, you know, the moment someone says something negative, you develop this like fear and doubt inside yourself, and it's just so you have to find confidence within yourself. I think that's the key. Yeah.
You mentioned that you kind of got like a handful of really close friends, people that you kind of would class as your friends, and again, you know, when people look from the outside, they probably think, oh, you've got like hundreds of friends and you're always at like this party and that party and with these people and that people. But having that smaller group of friends, what is it that you look for in a friend? What's the most important values that you place in someone that you want to keep close to you?
I think just trust and loyalty, really. I don't think you can find that if you have, maybe you can, I don't know, maybe because I don't have it, but like, how do you know who's loyal and who you can trust if you have like 30 people that are like your associates, really? And I've met so many people where they'll be like, oh, this is my close friend and this is my close friend. Okay, how's that your close friend? Oh, well, we hung out a couple of times and we got mashed up together, so that's your close friend now? Right. Okay. Yeah. I don't think so. I think that you probably party with that person and you have certain conversations when you're mash up. That doesn't make them your best friend now. You know, the people that are gonna be, you have to think about who is the person that if I call you at 4 a.m, who's gonna answer? Who's gonna sit there and listen to you? Or even if it's just for a chat, you know, like whatever time of the day, or like, you know, just someone there to listen and to uplift you rather than, you know, just be this person that is just not really like, you know, that you can't really trust.
Again, sometimes people feel like the number of people around them defines who they are or has some sort of impact on the quality of their life. Is I need to have more of this or more friends, more people around me, more people that like me. Whereas actually it's quite a common trait with some successful people is that they don't like, you know, obviously some people have all these big entourages and a lot of yes men and a lot of people around them. But some people just prefer the intimacy of having real people around them who, you know, they can have a real conversation with, who can tell them when, give them honest feedback from a loving place. And it's not all about just boosting each other's egos. It's about loving each other, supporting each other, but also having the honesty to be able to say what you really feel in front of them without the fear of repercussions. Yeah.
And you have to trust that person as well. You can't just go and say whatever to any random. That's why, you know, quality over quantity, right? So I'd rather have 3 quality friends than a bunch of people that are like, you know, just around for the good times, and then when, you know, you never think to call them when you're like in trouble, or, you know, so many people like that throughout my life, you know, especially in nightlife. You get that a lot in nightlife. You get a bunch of people who seem like they're your best friends, but if you don't call them in the day, then are they really? If you just see them at night.
That's a really good way of testing it.
If you just, you know, if that's not the person that you picked up the phone to, you know, be like, hey, how are you? And I could be that person too, to them, you know? Yeah, it's not just one way. But yeah, I know who my real friends are, and that's just something that comes with age though, right? So maybe when I was younger, you know, I don't know. I don't think I was ever that type of person to have like loads and loads of people around me or want loads of friends. Even when I go, like, even when I'm out or whatever, and people, you know, if I'm with a group of people, they'll be like, oh, let's go here, let's go there. And I'm like, no, I just want to go home and like chat to 3 people and have a couple of drinks and chat. Like, you know, that's what I prefer to do, but that's just me.
We talked a bit ago about obviously being a woman in the industry and, you know, the kind of stigma around that. But you've also had to face being an Asian in the industry and everything that brings as well. And we come from, you know, we're both born in the UK from Asian families where it's kind of not cool to go down certain career paths. It's like, unless you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor or a dentist, it's like everything else doesn't really matter. Did you find that there was any obstacles in terms of your race being an Asian person, not only just from your family in terms of what they had hoped for you, but in the industry as well? Did you ever come up against anything that made you feel like that was playing a factor in your progression?
Yeah, I think we talked about this as well last time, is me not really being into Asian music that much. And then being put on a station called BBC Asian Network just because I was brown.
Yeah.
That was something that bothered me a lot, because I don't know anything about, I don't know enough about this music or this culture even. I grew up in South London and grew up in Croydon, around not many Asians. And then I'm like told that I'm supposed to be on this station, but really I'm like, I don't really belong here. I don't know if I fit in here. I always felt like the black sheep when I was on there. And I felt like I couldn't get out of that box once I was in it. I did it because I took it as an opportunity, but that kind of backfired on me, because then I was just seen as the Asian Annie Mac, or like the girl and the girl, on the Asian station. And that bothered me. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't enjoy it there, because I was being forced to do something that I didn't want to do. Not forced, but, it's been put in a situation where like I wanted to be on other stations, and now all I'm getting asked to do is Asian gigs and, Asian shows, and like, it's just, yeah, I think that really, that bothered me a lot. And the only way I could get out of it is by leaving.
And leaving, at that point, I guess meant, walking away from an opportunity. Did you have something that you had in mind to do next, or was it more a case of, I can't do this anymore because it just doesn't represent who I am? Yeah,
that was it. I couldn't do it anymore because it didn't represent who I was. Had I been asked to do like a show on Radio 1 that was mainstream, I would have been like, all right, I can do this. This is the next stage. This is the next opportunity that I should definitely go for. I've had the training, I've been on radio for 6 years. Had I been offered that, I would have jumped at it, but I wasn't. I was just seen as brown girl from the brown station.
How do you feel like you broke that stereotype? Do you think it's a case of just doing something different until you're respected as who you are?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've broken that stereotype. I just continue to do what I want to do. Whatever makes sense for me and whatever I feel, I just continued doing that. It wasn't like I was trying to do the opposite of what people thought of me. It was like I had to be true to myself and continue doing what made me happy, and and just continue, like there's no other way that I could, get out of that. Yeah.
What really strikes me both times I've spoken to you is this drive that is so natural. It so comes from within, this fire to do what you want to do, and to, whether you know it at the time or not, the ability to break these boundaries and barriers and just go and follow your true purpose and make decisions that are real to you and not be influenced by the people around you. And I've seen that so much of that comes from within you. But who would you say professionally and personally has had a real positive impact on your mindset? Who's taught you things over the years where you've really taken what they've had to say and thought, that's really shaped me going forward?
Nobody.
No, it's come from within.
That's honestly, I know that sounds really arrogant, but no one. I've never really had, like I said, I never really had a blueprint. I had to figure it out for myself in every aspect. I had to figure out how to scratch by myself. I had to figure out how to DJ by myself. I had to figure out, just so many things by myself through my experiences. My husband, I can, he was in the music industry before. He's not anymore, but he was working in radio promotions, and he's been quite a positive influence. He's like the opposite of me. He's just very positive all the time. And I think he's probably one of the only people that has really helped me in that way. But other than that, it's just been me trying to figure things out. And taking on opportunities and not knowing what's going to happen, you know, like with the BBC, and like, you know, just going with the flow and figuring out, well, this was a mistake, that was a mistake, you know, like, so I don't really know.
It's a great answer, to be honest, because there's a lot of people who say, you know, this person had a particular influence. But again, like I say, the thing that really strikes me about you is how you've really affected, you know, all the success you are having is down to what you bring to the table. It's really, and it's come from within as well. Like the first time I was doing a bit more research on you when we were doing the first podcast, it was just that at 12 years old, you were like, no, I'm doing this. You know, at Asian Network, it's like, I don't want to do this because it's not me. It's always come from within. It's like there's this feeling that you know you've got to follow and you're going to go after it no matter who tells you anything different.
Yeah. And if you notice, with everything that I've done, no one's told me what to do. I've never really had anyone, definitely didn't come from my parents. It didn't come, you know, from family or, you know, friends obviously, like, you know, encourage you and stuff, but no one's actually told me, hey, you know, or like mentored me in a way that has been positive all the time. Yeah. You know, I've had mentors. I mean, I don't know if we talked about this last time, but one of the people that helped me in my early days was a DJ on Choice FM who was like the rival of Tim Westwood. They had like beef like for years and years. And he was one of my mentors, but he said a lot of, you know, positive things. One of the things that he taught me is to pay your dues, right? So that's one thing. But then he also said a lot of negative things to me. Like, I don't know if it was like a reverse psychology thing. I don't know what it was. But, you know, I remember he told me one time, you know, remember I told you I was very shy, and this was way before radio, when I was on radio and stuff. So he put me on his show to promote me, or, you know, he had me doing a mix or whatever. And then he tried to interview me after. And then he said to me specifically, you know, in the next stage to become a bigger DJ, you got to be on radio. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I went and did his interview, and he's like, maybe this could be practice for, you know, whatever. And I just was so shy. I wasn't very good at the interview. And then he's like, you don't have it, man. And he's like, I don't think you're ever going to be on radio. I didn't even want to be on radio. But now all of a sudden I've got this dude telling me, I don't think you can ever do this. And I was like, right, I will do it. You know, I'll figure out a way. But yeah, there hasn't really been anyone to tell me what to do all the time, where, you know, so the only person that I can really say is, you know, my husband, who I ask for advice for a lot of times. Yeah. You know, or I'll be like, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? But he didn't guide me through my life. So it's just all things that I've had to figure out on my own.
I think that's really, really such a great lesson to take from this whole interview, is that, you know, some people are looking for that mentor or looking for that person to set them up in life, or, you know, other people they make excuses as well about, if I had someone who would have helped me, I could have made it further. If I had better influences, I could have done it. But the great thing about what you just said, forget the excuses, forget who you've got around you or who you haven't got around you. If you want to do it, you find a way to do it, because it has to come from within anyway. There's only a certain level that these mentors can take you without your own drive and determination taking over.
A lot of times I feel like when someone is mentoring someone younger than them, they kind of want to take credit for it. They want to be like, well, I taught her how to do that. And you also got to look at that as well. Like, what are their intentions? Are you doing this really to help me, or are you doing this for some kind of self-satisfaction? To be able to, you know, there's so many people that have come in and out of my life that have done like something for me and been like, well, yeah, I did that for her. No, you didn't, because I did it. I did it myself. I was the one that sat there in my room, you know, practicing for hours and hours, and, you know, all kinds of stuff. But yeah.
as you say, the fear that we started this conversation about, some of the anxieties about I'm not doing enough right now, or I'm not, progressing as fast as I want. And I think that, fear and anxiety is one of those parts of the human experience that never really truly ever goes away. We just kind of get better at managing it over the years. How would you say that you're managing it now differently compared to how you used to manage it when you were younger?
I think I was more fearless when I was younger. I think I have more fear now. Maybe when I was younger, I don't know, I can't remember, but pretty sure I didn't have the same fear and anxiety that I have now. But that's because that's just something I think comes with age. When you're younger, you're fearless, and you don't think about things. Maybe that's why I was able to do all the things that I did, because I was fearless. Now, if I'm presented an opportunity, because of all the things that I've been through, I think about it more. I'm like, but should I really do that? How am I going to look? And how does this make me look in my career? So, I think over the years, I've definitely developed more of a awareness about what I'm doing. Maybe not fear.
Yeah.
But yeah. But that doesn't stop me from doing what I do, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just a part of life, I think.
Right.
I don't know. When you were younger, were you more fearless? Or are you more fearless now?
It's a really good question. And I think you're right. I think sometimes the older you get, you're more aware of what could not go wrong, but you're more aware of the kind of situations, and you're more aware of the impact that may have. When you're younger, you're kind of a little bit less knowledgeable. So you kind of take more risks because you don't understand the consequences of those risks sometimes. But I think that, with the awareness as you get older, you kind of get better at also managing yourself, because you're more aware of situations, but you're more aware of how you are in those situations. And if you can manage to control that, the anxiety, the fear, whatever you want to call it, is around, but you just kind of get to a point where I know it's there, but I know I need to do this for me, because if I don't, not doing it is worse than me going for it.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the examples was doing that competition. Remember we were talking about last time, the Goldie Awards, where I accidentally got into it.
Right.
And I was going to drop out through fear. Yeah. I was going to drop out because I was like, well, I don't want to, I'm not a what do you call it? I'm not a turntablist. I don't, do routines. I'm not a battle DJ. I'm a DJ. I'm a DJ that has skills, but I don't consider myself to be a turntablist, battle DJ. I don't want to go there up against, all these people that do this all day, right? And I could have completely just chickened out and dropped out, and that was my fear kicking in. And then so I guess I still have the fearlessness that I had before when I was younger. I just think about things a little bit more and realize now, because I don't know. Yeah.
It's time for the Music and Mindset Playlist Picks.
Music is one of those things that, really has an influence over our mood, over our mindset. If you listen to a great piece of music, it can make you feel pumped. If you listen to something that makes you feel heartbroken, you'll take those feelings from it. It's one of the great things about music is you don't really need to even understand the lyrics. You can feel it. If you were to create a playlist, which was 3 songs that you find raises your spirit, raises your mood, or makes you feel pumped or inspire you in some way, what 3 tracks would have to be on that playlist?
One of them, I played this song last week in my live stream. Yeah. And it's The Roots, Ain't Nobody Gonna Turn Me Around. Yeah. And I remember being on the plane to Austin to go and do this live stream, and I was trying to get this playlist together as quick as I possibly could, and because of what was happening obviously in the world with Black Lives Matter and everything, I decided to do a whole set kind of dedicated to it. And one of the main things is listening to that track. I was like, oh wow, this is basically what the song is about. Is like I should play. Hold on, I should look up the lyrics. Hold on, before I quote it wrong. Yeah, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, walking into a freedom land. Obviously, they were, they had a mission in the song of what they're talking about. It's not the same thing, but that you can apply to everything, right? Right. Nothing's gonna stop me. Nothing's gonna, as cliche as it may sound, I'm gonna keep on going. That's pretty much what I've done my whole life. No one's gonna tell me no or stop me. So yeah, that song, for the first time in a long time, I listened to the lyrics because I had to for that set, which was a weird thing, because usually I listen to the beat and I'm like, oh no, and then all of a sudden now I'm like, I have to make sure that every song that I play in the set makes sense with the times, kind of thing. So that was one of them.
That song, the lyrics that you mentioned there, it's kind of exactly what we're talking about here. Is those lyrics really represent who you are. But listening to that kind of music, we're talking about who you hang around with and all those kind of stuff, and get off social media if it's not feeling good. But pumping yourself with good messages, with inspirational lyrics and music, you do soak it in, don't you? And it does make you feel a different way.
Yeah, definitely. The second one I'm going to say, which is obvious, it's going to be a Janet one, because obviously I'm a fan. But I say this one because remember what we was talking about last time, where I was saying that she's not just this, female, like blah blah blah, like sexual, entertainer, which is what people look at her like. The girl, the artist that the Super Bowl incident happened with, so much more to, if you actually go deep. And listen to some of her lyrics, and the whole Rhythm Nation album is exactly what we're talking about, right? And one of the songs is The Knowledge. Let me look at the lyrics. I should know the lyrics to these. Insight into what's going on, information keeps us strong. What you don't know can hurt you bad. Take it from me, you'll be walking around sad, crying for a better day until you educate for a better way. So if you want to be in control, you got to get yourself in the know, which was a song that I grew up listening to. And that is very much about, you can't really get far in life without knowledge, right?
Right.
And that's basically what she's talking about.
It's having an open mind, isn't it, to be willing to learn something new and grow with the experiences, and not be so fixed as, I don't want to learn, or I want to stay in my comfort zone. It's just being open to hear something that could expand where you're currently at right now.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of things that I've learned in life is through music, to be honest, because it's been such a big part of my life for all these years, without even knowing it. I have learned so much from listening to certain artists, or, so it's interesting. It's interesting because you don't think about it. And then when you have to think about it, you're like, oh, that's how I know. And, like even with all the Black history, the Black Lives Matter stuff, we weren't taught Black history in school. Like, I had not, we learned about Tudors and Stuarts and Henry VIII, right? And castles and this and that. And you had to go out there and you had to learn yourself. Unless you went, unless you studied history, maybe in university or further education or whatever. I wouldn't have known about a lot of things had I not listened to some of these songs growing up, and also doing the research myself. So.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's true. We have to go and find this stuff, don't we?
Yeah, and it's important, and people should be encouraged to do that. So yeah. Desiree, You Gotta Be. So
I love that song.
It was so, I remember this song was huge, right? And was it in the 90s? Yeah. And again, I was like, oh, it's such a cool thing. Like, you know, when I was younger, I was like, oh, didn't realize it was such a positive message in the song. Yeah. It's such a good song. What's the lyrics of Desiree? You gotta be bold, you gotta be strong, isn't that what she said?
You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser.
Yeah. Listen as your day unfolds, challenge what the future holds, try and keep your head up to the sky. Go ahead, release your fears, stand up and be counted, don't be ashamed to cry, you know, all the things that we're talking about.
Yeah, that song, I'm really glad you picked that song, because, you know, occasionally on my Instagram, I just, one of the themes of posts that I do is just to pick some lyrics that are really meaningful and powerful and just put them up there as a quote. You know, when I'm tired of editing videos and doing all that kind of stuff. But that's one, Desiree, You Gotta Be is something that I posted, I think maybe a week or two ago. And I had the same experience as you, whereas I loved that song when I was younger. Me and you were around, I think we were around about the same age. And that song was such a huge hit. And I remember I liked it back then because I liked the way it sounded. She's a great singer, all those things. But when I was researching lyrics to post up on my Instagram, I had that same thing. I was like, this song, it's always made me feel good. And I knew it was a positive song, but now at my age today, those lyrics mean so much more than what they did when I was, 10, 11, whatever it was when it came out. It's just that as you grow over time, it's the same message, the same song, but now it means something different because I've changed. The song hasn't changed, but I've changed and it means more. Because you didn't know all those things that she was talking about back then when it came out. Exactly. But now you listen to it, you're like, yeah, Yeah. So, that would be a good one. And remember during that... It's a great track. Yeah, do you remember during that time, what was the other song? Was Gabrielle Dreams? Yeah, that was the other... Dreams, yeah. That when I was looking at that, it was on the suggested next song to play. So I think I'm in a kind of playlist of like female power songs at the moment. But Dreams is another great song. It was such a good song and it was such a big hit. And it was probably our only hit, just like Desiree. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, such a positive song. So yeah, those are my three. Three great picks. So coming towards the end of this interview, and it is a fascinating, listen, and there's so many golden nuggets of information to take. But one question I'd like to ask you is, if there's just one piece of advice that you'd like people to take notice of, if there's kind of one message that you think, for me, this is the message that I've learned that I want to share with the world in terms of positive mindset or resilient mindset, what would it be for you? I think, that phrase, keep calm, carry on. Yeah. I think that's a good way to look at life, because that the only thing that is certain in life is adversity, right? You're going to have your ups and downs. It's just how you deal with adversity is what makes you the person that you are. And you don't know that when you're younger, but when you get older, you realize, okay, all these things that I've done, I've dealt with them in a good way or a bad way or whatever. But the main thing is just do things with grace and with dignity. And things will just figure themselves out eventually. But just know that adversity is the one thing that is guaranteed in life, and you're going to have ups and downs. Right. You just got to learn how to navigate. And there's only one way to do that, which is what we've been talking about, is either talking to people or like having mentors or reading books or having conversations with debates with your friends or family. It doesn't matter, Yes. So it's a powerful message, because it's something that I am really kind of, one of the foundations of everything I do in my job is number one, trying to avoid pain and suffering is impossible because everyone's going to experience that at some point in their life. Stress is guaranteed. There'll be moments of stress in everybody's life. It's different for everybody, and some things stress people out that don't stress other people out. But one thing guaranteed is you will have stressful moments. It's not, for me, and the phrase I always use to people is, it's not what you go through, it's how you go through it, because you're going to go through stuff. But how you get through that period of your time is going to shape the quality of your life.
Yeah. And I think resilience in the face of adversity is something that will always help you to say yes when everything around you, everyone around you is saying no. So resilience is another thing.
For sure. Thank you so much for this time. It's been an amazing, amazing conversation with you, as it was the last time I spoke to you. Just to finish up, like what's going on with you at the moment? What's coming up next for you? And how can people follow you and find out more about what you're doing?
So because of COVID, I have no further plans. But right. Yeah, I mean, still live streaming. I took a couple of weeks off, but I'm going to get back on it this week. Just trying to figure stuff out. This is what we're all doing. Doesn't matter who you are or what you do, and we're all doing the same thing, right? So yeah, just but just follow me on Instagram, Kayper Official, on SoundCloud or Spotify under Kayper Official. On Spotify, it's just Kayper. And yeah, I guess watch this space, see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure, with the mind and the desire and the drive, you've got a huge amount of things that are coming next. I look forward to kind of continuing to follow your career and journey. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you today. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sure the people listening in will be really, truly inspired by not only what you've done, but what you continue to do in your own life. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.